Welcome back to SportsLine. I'm Steve Wrigley here on News Channel 5 Plus. Our phone number tonight, 737-7767. Give me a call. Let's talk about what you think the Tennessee Titans need to do in the NFL draft, or maybe what you think they might do in the NFL draft. We just heard Mike Mularkey along with Mike Keith and John Robinson, the new GM. Hey, a lot of moving parts in this thing. The Titans, the only thing that's been consistent over the last couple of years is the Titans have been terrible. They've been bad. They just can't continue anymore. The city deserves better. We need to go back to the glory days of the '99 season, the first year in that new stadium down there on the Cumberland River, and then those great teams for about 5 or 6 years. We were spoiled. We were talking today down in the sports department, Brian McKeegan and I, that the Vols were coming off a national championship. The Titans went to the Super Bowl. We had that parade right down Broadway. Everybody took a left down there by the Big River Grill, and we were talking to Blaine Bishop and Samari Roll and Steve McNair and Eddie George, and we thought, man, this is fun. This is gonna happen all the time. The Vols are always going to be playing for national championships. The Titans are always going to be in the mix. They never did get back to the Super Bowl. They did get back to the AFC Championship game, but that's as far as they got. And then, boy, once they pulled out those terrible towels after beating the Steelers, they lost the next week to the Indianapolis Colts 31-0. Then they got knocked out of the playoffs with the NFL's best record, and it has not been anywhere near respectable since. So first of all, we need to get John Burton on a plane and have him go up to Pittsburgh. We need to try to make up with Myron Cope, his family, the legacy of the terrible towel. And then they need to get Marcus Mariota some help on the offensive line so that offense can start playing well, because you know the defense is going to be good. The defense, even if the defense is middle of the road again, middle of the stats, and the offense improves a lot, and they put some points on the board, they're going to win some football games. So our phone number right now is 737-7767. Give me a call. Let's talk about the Titans. Let's talk about the draft. Heck, if you want to bring up some old memories of what your favorite game was down there at the stadium, or what your favorite team was, or maybe your favorite memory of the past, or just looking at the draft scenario right now. It's the Titans on the clock at number 1, Cleveland number 2. Guess what the Browns need? What do the Browns always need? What have the Browns needed since Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar? They need a quarterback. Problem is that I don't know that, well, since the Titans don't need a quarterback, there's no real pressure on Cleveland to try to jump over the Titans and get that number 1 pick. And then you have to go all the way down through San Diego at 3, Dallas at 4, the Jaguars at 5, Baltimore at 6, and you have to go all the way to San Francisco at 7, to anybody who rivals the Browns, who might be willing to part with something. And San Francisco has so much going on right now. They don't know if Colin Kaepernick is going to be there next year. He said he wants traded. They don't know if they're going to do that. That's got to play out before the draft. They don't think, nobody really thinks Blaine Gabbert is the answer there. Nobody has thought Blaine Gabbert was the answer to quarterback since Gene Smith drafted him, and I think it was the top 10 back in 2010 in Jacksonville. Anyway, we've got a caller on line 1. Go ahead, on line 1. What do you think? What do the Titans have to do? Come on, Mike, talk to me, buddy.
Hey, I'm sorry about that. Hey, I just wondered if the Titans have thought about maybe going and getting Peyton Manning to come up and be the offensive coordinator for the Titans and maybe win a Super Bowl. Thanks for your time.
Mike, I need a little bit more from you there than that. That's wishful thinking. What do you think they ought to draft? Mike just wanted to talk about Peyton Manning on SportsLine. Number 737-7767. I can tell you Peyton Manning's not coming to Nashville to be the offensive coordinator. He might, who knows what he's going to do. He hasn't really been too open about what the next step is. He's talked about wanting to play some golf with his family, maybe hustle a couple of bets with Cooper and Eli and Pops Archie, but coming to be the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, I don't think that's in his top 10 list of things that he wants to do. So looking back at the draft, in the order, it's the Titans first, Cleveland on the clock second, San Diego third. They need defensive line help. Joey Bosa could fall right to them, because if he doesn't go to number 1 overall with the Titans, which I don't think he will, I don't see the Browns drafting the Ohio State star, because they need a quarterback. Now the question is Jared Goff out of Cal somebody that you want to reach that high for? Is Paxton Lynch out of Memphis the guy? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's a little high for two guys that you never really heard of until their college careers were over. We got another call on line 1. Go ahead. What do you think? What do you think the Titans ought to do? Where are you coming from on this?
Yeah, Steve, I had no idea. I'm wanting to see the linebackers from Ohio State come in. But, I'm just not sure. They're talking about maybe trading the number 1 pick and everything. I don't know where they stand on this. I wanted your opinion on who you think they will get as the first pick.
I think Tunzel, I think they need help on the offensive line. I think we heard in that last bit of sound, John Robinson talking about how Taylor Lewan is the left tackle until he isn't. The NFL, they always say this. They mostly say this after they lose games this way, or any team loses a game this way, because you can tell whoever controls the line of scrimmage gives their quarterback time to get rid of the ball, gives their receivers time to get down the field. And on the flip side, when the defense is strong up on the defensive line and the offense has to always react, if the quarterback doesn't have time, that's when the receivers don't get open. That's when the defensive backs make those interceptions. That's when the defensive linemen get those sacks. So I think it all goes down in the trenches. I think at the NFL, the game is won up front, and I don't think the Titans are going to be able to become a dominant team until they put together a great offensive line in front of their young quarterback. And then also, too, you have DeMarco Murray coming in, who's a very physical runner, and boy, it would be great if we saw some physical football return to Nissan Stadium, because it just hasn't been the case. The place has been flat. It's been almost an embarrassment to remember what those games have been like back in the early 2000s in that first season where they won every home game en route to the Super Bowl. So they need to get physical. They need to get tough. They need to go with Laramie Tunsil, the lineman out of Ole Miss. That's what I think. What do you think, though? Come on, let's light these phones up. Let's turn this thing on. 737-7767. The Titans, this is your chance. You're not stuck in the car listening to Sports Talk Radio, sitting on I-40, not moving, waiting to get home for dinner. You're home, hopefully in your comfortable, easy chair. You've had a nice meal, I'm hoping. Maybe you got a workout in after work today. I don't know. What are your thoughts about the Tennessee Titans, though? Let's get a couple of phone calls going. Let's light these lines up. Let's go on line 2. Yeah, what do you think we ought to do for the draft coming up? What's your thoughts?
Well, I agree that they should take Tunsil. He should be definitely the pick that they take at the number 1 position, because he's head above all other offensive linemen coming out this year. But I think that they need to trade out of the 2nd spot and the 3rd spot to try to pick up some extra picks. And what they really need is not really in the draft. They need a guy who can take the lid completely off the defense. They need playmakers, and they need a couple of tough cornerbacks, that can come in and play. Ramsey can play corner, but he's more of a safety to me. But there's a kid at Clemson that they might ought to look at taking that. So I think they need a playmaker, a couple of playmakers, and they need to trade out of the 2nd and 3rd to pick up some picks like Jimmy Johnson did, try to create some depth.
Right. That would make sense, and hopefully San Francisco will trade Kaepernick to somebody, and then that will force the Niners to have a need at quarterback, and maybe they'll reach down there and give them what the Titans want to give up that number 1 pick. But I agree that, and here's the thing about playmakers. It's a whole lot easier to make that 40-yard catch and run, or that 40-yard reception, when your quarterback has time. That is the most important thing. And if he has time and there's nobody open, if you have a strong line, then he can run and use his running ability. So I think it all starts with the offensive line. I agree that should be the pick for the big fella out of Ole Miss. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Henry on line 1. Henry, what do you think the Tennessee Titans should do in the NFL draft, and why?
Okay, this is my idea on Thompson. Thanks for taking my call, bro.
You bet.
I understand the guy is good. Now, if the guy was just a can't-miss type guy, I can understand you taking him first. But you're talking about the guy that's supposed to come in and protect the quarterback. And he's going to be going up against the best pass rushers in the world.
Sure.
I just don't see how the first-year guy is going to be able to hold up. And your job is to protect your quarterback this year. Second year, you want to see what he can really do. Put the rookie back there, scares the crap out of me. I don't care how good he is, but a rookie going against the best guys in the world, I don't see that happening. I think they should move down 2 or 3 spots. If he's still there, get him. If not, get Ramsey.
Right, yeah, well, that sounds like a great plan. That does sound like a very good plan. And look, the Titans, unfortunately, I think they're going to be picking probably in the top 10 again next year. I mean, I don't, you know, I hope that they make a big jump, but that's a pretty hard thing to do, to make a big leap with all the new moving parts, with the new GM, the new head coach, Mariota another year older, possibly making some big steps. But I think that you do have to get that guy that has the ability to be a star in the early going. Do the best you can, but it's like it's a poker game, as he said, as John Robinson said in that clip we played with Mike Mularkey. He was like, I'm holding my cards. I don't want anybody to see them, and that's really where it is right now. That's what the month of March is for. It's for March Madness in basketball, and it's for all these scenarios, all these moving parts about what teams should do with the NFL draft. Let's take another listen to Mike Mularkey, John Robinson, moderated by the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, from this past weekend Sports Fest here on SportsLine.
Brad, do you have a question? Hang on just a second. All right, we have Malika from Nashville. Go ahead, Malika.
It's great talking to everyone. What about now that we have a great offensive line, what will happen with Jason McCourty on the defensive side? I hope we keep him.
We will keep him. Malika's very pleased. Yeah, it's, you know, I've said it before. It'd be great to get Jason back out there healthy. You know, he's a smart, tough, disciplined player. He'll fit in really well back out there when healthy. That was a big loss when we lost Jason last year, and obviously Derek Morgan. But it's really nice seeing McCourty running like he's running right now. He is flying around. He'll be ready to go on the 18th.
He really, for all intents and purposes, missed the entire year. He played a handful of ball games, I think 4 ball games, but he was never hit.
No, he really was never healthy the whole season. But you know, he is now. You can tell. I mean, he has been for a couple months now. So I'll be glad to have him back. Morgan's back. Some of the guys that were really big losses for our team.
Where can Sean Spence fit in terms of competing at the linebacker spot? How does the staff envision both? How does the staff envision him?
Well, right now he would come in and start in our dime package, which is sub. When offenses put multiple wide receivers on the field, we go into a sub package. He would be one of the starting linebackers, which he's been for the last 2 years. He's been with Coach LeBeau. He knows the system. He's a good player, physical player, smart player. And then we have some depth now at the interior linebacker position, which we really did not have before the signing of Spence. And he was well sought after by a lot of teams. And again, for a number of reasons, again, this city, this franchise, and the direction this team's going, he decided to come here.
The Titans have had an issue in that dime package at linebacker. You've used George Wilson, you've used Damian Stafford, you've used Zach Brown, you've used a variety of guys, but you haven't been able to find that consistent guy for what is almost as regular a position now as the nickelback is.
Pretty much, based on what offenses are doing these days with the multiple receivers on the field, it's become predominant more than your two-back offense.
A player that you obviously thought a lot of, too.
Yeah, I remember him coming out. He was part of a high school team. I think he told us 8 or 9 guys on his high school team that played in or are playing in the NFL. Him and Levante David played side by side with each other. So football, he is a very, very passionate young man about football. We took him to dinner, and he was rattling off defenses from Coach LeBeau's defense, which was 2 years ago in Pittsburgh. So he's smart. He will help us in sub immediately. He will help us in the kicking game, and be a rotational player on early downs to help Wesley and Avery.
Rhett, let's get into the question.
Yeah, we have Brandon from Dixon. Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's been any updates from the Denver Broncos guard Vasquez.
Yeah, so we're still in communication. They reached out to us yesterday about him. We're still kind of combing through that, and we'll see kind of what the next couple of days shake out there with him.
But the free agency process takes a little bit of a backseat this week because of the owners' meetings, and these 2 gentlemen are leaving right away for Florida when we're done. Most important thing for you and for John to come out of the owners' meetings, from the coaching standpoint and from the front
Well, there's a lot of rule changes, a lot of proposals for rule changes. For an example, the extra point going back to the 15-yard line, is that going to be a permanent change? That's one of them, but John and I went through all the proposals, whether front office or playing rules yesterday, and there'll be a number of changes that will be taking place based on what we see and some of the ideas either teams or the competition committee have brought up.
Are you for making the extra point permanent from 33 yards away?
Stay away at 50. We both agreed we would vote yes for it. It just brought a little more excitement to it. I loved it until we missed it.
It was really good. It's always good to.
But no, I do like that. It does change the whole. There's a lot of game management during games, and that's another piece of it that I like.
And then I would say from a front office standpoint, there's a couple of rules roster-wise that are on the table. One of the ones that I've been adamant about changing is the roster cut down in August from 90 to 75 on Tuesday before the final game on Thursday. And I think if we keep the rosters to 90, it gives those 15 players that you're going to release on that Tuesday another game to go out and get NFL experience, another chance to showcase their ability and maybe earn a contract either with us to, if they're fighting for a spot or with another club. We lost NFL Europe, and there's really not a developmental league for these players, and this gives those guys a chance to go out for one more game at least and compete and play for a spot. And if you 15 times 32 teams, that's a lot of players that are out of work for that last football game. So I think that would help us from a league standpoint grow and work towards developing players.
Are you two guys for changing the preseason structure in terms of number of games, which it doesn't sound like is going to happen in these meetings? Do either one or both of you have thoughts on that?
I think the one thing that's on the table is eliminating overtime from preseason games, which we are both for.
The broadcasters are for that too,
So,
if they ask.
yeah, but as far as for the actual amount of games, I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into that one of weighing the pros and cons of keeping it at 4 or reducing it. So I think 4 is good. It gives plenty of exposure. The third game is usually kind of a mock game, game prep, game ready game. So I think the current structure is good, but if there's a proposal that makes sense, we would certainly look at it.
Rhett?
Eddie in Hopkinsville, Kentucky is here.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good.
I just got a quick question. I know after the season that we came off of last season, I wanted to know, I know with the guys that we brought in, just how will the environment change at all from, the past seasons of kind of a lackluster season? What are you guys doing to actually, pump the team up more or less?
There's a lot of change going on. Again, I spoke about the staff earlier. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of older faces, a lot of guys that have been in the league. I think we have a combined total of 365 years of NFL coaching experience on our staff. Some Hall of Fame coaches, Dick LeBeau, obviously, Hall of Fame player, Russ Grant, coach of our offensive line. We've made changes at the O-line, the D-line, the secondary, quarterback position, the tight end coach position. We've made a lot of changes. Players will see that. They're going to see a lot of the guys that hired have been very successful everywhere they've been. Bobby.
That's head coach Mike Malarkey, along with the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, and new general manager John Robinson from the Sports Fest, sponsored by 104.5 The Zone this past weekend. We're going to take a break here on SportsLine. That's the number right there, 615-737-7767. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about the Titans in the NFL Draft. I want to hear from you guys. I want you to light these phones up. Tell me who you think the most important draft pick in the history of the Tennessee Titans is and why. I have an idea, and I think you might agree. I have right here in this noggin right here, the number 1 pick in the history of the Titans and why it changed the franchise for the better back in the day. I'll share that with you when we come back. We're going to take a break. See you on the other side.